people say this stupid shit to me all the time. Like, I don't know how can you work with people that like, I'm like, or back in the day, like I don't know how anybody ever worked together like this, like because nobody fucking cared, dude.
Nobody cared.
Yeah, because it was a better world.
Yep. Yeah.
Like
it was a better world.
God.
And guys, listen, this is important. Like people, I am deliberately steering into the culture war, right? Daily Wire is tearing things apart. But I want to be super clear that in my view, it's like mutually assured destruction. Like it's immoral to use nuclear weapons, but it's more immoral to let your enemy use nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't like the bifurcation of the culture. I don't like the bifurcation of the economy. I don't like that people don't want to work with us because of our politics, or that our own audience may not watch something if we use the wrong person. I think that's a pretty shitty world. But a more shitty world is the one where we just let the left drive us out of every institution and we don't fight back. My honest belief is that if we continue to build alternatives, if we create an actual economic consequence for them driving us out of our own culture, you will also create an economic incentive for them to change their behavior. So I really think it's like we have to reach a kind of parity with them. It's probably not true parity, but a kind of parity with them in all of these areas, from freaking hard seltzer to razors to kids content to movies to news to where you get your coffee, you name it. All of this stuff, we have to actually become successful so that there's no longer any way for them to gain market share without actually having to moderate and compete for our business. Right now, they can say that my audience is inexcusable, completely secure in the knowledge that my company or that my audience still has to buy their crappy razors.
Right.
And I say crappy not because their razors are crappy, but because the whole idea that I have to buy your razor is crap.
Yeah.
The whole idea that you can talk about me the way that you do and still cash my checks is crap. Yeah. So I know I'm a partisan, and I know the Daily Wire is partisan. I know we're sort of doubling down on the cultural divide. But honest to God, what I want is to get back to the 90s. What I want is to get back to a world where you can be who you are and I can be who I am, and we can disagree over a beer tonight, and during the rest of our day we can live like normal, actual human beings, and collaborate with one another and have friendships with one another and create a better world. It sounds so sappy now. I'm actually embarrassed that I'm telling you guys this, but that's it. I basically just want to live in the 90s, but with Wikipedia. That's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things on that. I don't think any business is so robust that they can shed 50% of their customers and still pay their bills.
Yeah.
Or definitely not if it's a publicly traded company, right? That's just not how that goes. The other thing about, people that grew up in the same general area maybe will be, let's say they're Big Ten football fans, right?
Yeah.
And one of them's a Penn State alum and one of them's an Ohio State alum. And that used to be a thing where that debate or shit talking or whatever it is between those two people is something that sustained their friendship for decades. Just that one thing.
Yeah.
The only thing they had in common is that they liked college football, but they hated each other's teams, right? So conflict is intrinsic to this whole process of humanity. It's the whole fucking point.
That's
right. And we've made this entire Zennial generation, and now that's informing all these corporate dum-dums. We've made them completely intolerant of any sort of discomfort whatsoever.
Yeah, that's right.
Like what exactly do you expect the product of somebody who is anti-discomfort to be? You know what I mean? Like you can't eliminate discomfort, so you have to eliminate the perception of it. So now you're changing the way you see reality.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big fucking problem that I don't know if people understand how big of a problem that is. Like if you don't believe in gravity, that's cool, man. Jump off the fucking cliff and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because you'll become a believer on the way down.
But the best way to change it is what you're doing, Jeremy, with entertainment. I mean, look, Hollywood, like it or not, has a huge power over children, over the way you grow up, over your beliefs, over what you think, over what you see, and what you talk about at school if you don't have an alternative to what's out there right now. Because if you watch a commercial or a TV show or a movie these days, you think that everybody's trans, gay, everybody's a mixed couple. There's somebody's got a disability, and you're like, God damn it, man! Can we just watch one thing that makes sense? with what you're doing, at least you're able to influence the next generation coming up, because without it, there is no one in Hollywood on the right who's even remotely close to doing something like what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is the goal, right? We want to be able to, well, for one thing, I just want people who see the world the way that I see it to be able to get through any part of their day without being lectured, without being openly insulted. You make a good point, and I think it's one of the reasons that you guys have been very successful, and a lot of guys who are war on terror veterans, I think are doing amazing things right now in the economy and in the culture. And I'm sure on some level it's because you guys learned that lesson that you just articulated, which is that you can't eliminate discomfort from your life, that you have to find a way to win in the face of that, in the face of actual hardship. I can't lay claim to that. My journey is just that I had no money and had never been west of Clovis, New Mexico, and loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly. You know, like I went and faced far less extreme hardships, but the hardship of failure is really what helped me become whatever success I have right now.
Yeah, but that's like
all of that said, though, there is a difference between facing adversity and overcoming adversity, and believing that you don't have a place in your own country, believing you don't have a place in your own economy, believing you don't have a place in your own culture. And I think that if you let an entire generation be raised in this moment, where they have no safe harbor in their own physical world, you're not going to raise people who know how to overcome hardship. You're going to raise people who don't believe there's anything but hardship. And I really worry about the sort of victim mentality that the left has peddled, in particular to Black America, and more and more to women and more to other minorities. I think that's the most crippling, addicting, evil ideology that's ever been promulgated. And I worry about a generation of people who believe broadly what the three of us believe. I'm not saying that we have the same politics, not saying we vote exactly the same way, but the places where the Venn diagram crosses for the three of us. I worry about people who share those values actually being raised to see themselves as victims of circumstances that they can't change in their own country, in their own economy, in their own culture. Because if we get to that place, we'll well and truly have lost all the things that we value. So, yeah, I want to build a world where they realize that that kind of the experiences we got to have on our way up, the country we were born into still exists.
Yeah,
and so they know that they can go out and build alternatives. Right. They can build the world they want.
Being able to take risk and then learning how to manage risk throughout your life is a big deal. Brett Weinstein and Heather Heying talk about it in pretty much every book they fucking write. Yeah. They're incredible people, but a lot of people are talking about it now. It's finally kind of mainstream to say that there is a huge hole in the West because of the absence of religion. Now, I'm not religious at all, but I do understand that the journey...
Go jump off the cliff.
Yeah, exactly. The journey that we're all on is finding purpose in solving problems, right? That's what fulfills human beings, whether it's motherhood or fatherhood or your work or activism or charity or whatever it is, right? The thing that fulfills people very clearly is finding purpose in solving these challenges that we all have, enduring, right? Resilience. Yeah. And we've like jettisoned all of that. Like it's
well, you can only do it if you believe that victory is possible.
That's true too. Yeah. So like that's the point I'm kind of getting at. Giving people that lighthouse, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, that this can be done, and not only can it be done, but here's how to do it. You know what I mean? That's a big deal for people.
Victory isn't guaranteed, and victory isn't everlasting, and it isn't absolute, right? I mean, everything you guys have, you can lose. Everything that I've built can fall. Some versions of what you have, you will lose, and some versions of what I have built will fall. Hopefully, not everything, right? I mean, and we'll keep getting back up, and we'll keep innovating, and we'll keep trying. But it is because while victory isn't permanent, and victory isn't absolute, and victory isn't guaranteed, victory is possible. That's the thing that we know. We have come through our own experiences to believe that the risk is worthwhile